Let's add some basic lighting to our player cutout. The first thing you want to do is identify where the light is coming from in the image you're working with. So we're going to use this AUDL All-Star Game player announcement template. You can see I put some overlays to make this orange streak of light. I've brought in this player cutout for Sean Mott, and our goal is to make this orange lighting hit some of him, and then also adjusting the highlights and shadows to make it look a little bit more realistic, like he is actually in the scene. So first, let's brighten just the left side of him where the light is hitting. We're gonna do that by going down to your adjustments and add a curves layer. And there's a lot of different ways to do this. I like to set curves to a different blend mode called luminosity. This is just gonna have it affect the brightness of the tones, and it's not gonna mess with the color at all. So if you click in the middle of this curve and bring it up, you can see things are getting brighter or things can get darker. So we're gonna use both techniques to create some brighter parts of him and then some more shaded parts. So let's start with the brighter parts. Let's bring it up to about here, and I'm gonna invert the mask on the curves by going Command I. That's gonna make it all black. Nothing of these curves are showing through right now. Before I forget, let's clip this curves layer to our subject by holding Option and clicking between these layers. That's gonna make it so the curves are just affecting Sean Mott. Now we have this black mask. I'm gonna paint back on the mask with a white brush by hitting B for a brush tool, switching the foreground color to white. And just for some basic lighting, let's just click around the edges here and brighten up this side of him to give him a little bit of depth. I feel like the hair is a little too bright, so I'm going to reduce that by going back to black. I would always recommend a soft brush for lighting in particular. So you can see the before and after gets a little brighter over there. Now let's do the same thing, but for shadows. So let's make the right side of him a little bit darker. So let's make another curves layer. And again, clip it, holding Option and clicking between those layers. So now these are both clipped to Sean Mott. Again, I'm going to switch the blend mode to luminosity, so it's just affecting the darkness of the shades, not the color itself. And I'm going to drag down to make it a little bit darker. But again, we just want this affecting the right side of him. So let's invert the mask, Command I, and now back to your brush, painting on with white again, and then I'm just going to click on these edges here. And you can see the effect kind of just gives him a little bit more depth. You can see that this is after, before, after, before. We like after. So the next thing we should do is let's add some of this orange color hitting the left side of him as well with that brightness. So another adjustment layer, let's go to hue and saturation, and then click this box that says colorize, and that's gonna make it all one color. And again, let's clip it to Sean Mott, holding Option, clicking on the space between layers. And now let's adjust our hue to find an orange color. So you'll have to go through and adjust the saturation also. So that's looking pink, that's not what we want. Orange will be here-ish. You can add some lightness to it too. And adding lightness will allow that orange color to show up on darker spots. So we'll make it a little bit light, a little bit more saturated. And we're just kind of eyeballing it to try to match the color of the background. So that looks pretty good. Now again, we'll invert this mask. We just want it applying to this side of him. So Command I on the mask to invert it. And now back to your brush tool. Let's paint back on just a little bit of orange on this side to make it seem like the light is hitting him. And you can get a little bit more aggressive with the orange if it's like right on the edge maybe, and then maybe a little bit softer as it fades into him. But it's kind of up to you to adjust as needed until you're happy with it. We might also add some orange down here to just kind of blend him into this orange shape we have going through. So just a little bit softer on this red. Looks pretty good to me, so we'll stop there. Let's look at the after, before, back to the after. You can really see the difference that just a few basic lighting edits can make in your graphic.